Is it August yet? Yes, it finally is. Hi there, it's Brett Hornby here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. And I did decide to take a little bit of a break on the August long weekend, but now that we're into August and I have my Calgary Stampeders gear on, we're actually going to be talking about the Calgary Stampeders and CFL, as finally the longest off-season ever is about to end this week. In a couple nights we'll have our first CFL game since the 107th Grey Cup that happened 12 years ago right here in Calgary when the Winnipeg Blue Bombers defeated the Hamilton Tiger Cats. But I figured in this video I'll take a look at the roster on who's on the Calgary Stampeders to start the 2021 season, and take a look ahead at the schedule, as yes, after the Calgary Stampeders get their first 4 games in of the season, my Calgary Stampeders this month will return. Remember when I used to do that? Well, yes, that is going to come back, and it will be season 3, because actually last season I did make a episode started for season 3. I did a no season edition, so I guess that will be episode 2 when I'll recap what happened August 2021. So before I get into the gist of the video, if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey, just make sure you hit like and subscribe. I mostly do talk Calgary sports on my YouTube channel, where recap games and stories. You know, Home Flames have been Roughnecks Stampeders, so just make sure you hit like and subscribe. So let's take a look at the roster that's going to be on the Calgary Stampeders to start off the 2021 season. There's definitely some familiar veterans that actually have come back, but there's definitely a lot of new players, which I'm going to say is going to be a lot more difficult to predict what you're going to expect this season, considering we didn't have one last year due to the global pandemic and the fact that it was delayed to the start of this season for the same reason. But the Calgary Stampeders, when we look at the schedule, they're definitely going to have to make some hay early in the season, because they have a very home-heavy schedule start. But starting off with the roster, it goes in alphabetical order by last name. There's definitely a lot of new names. I mean, the first one is number 91, is Isaac Ademi Berglund, a defensive lineman. And then we got one receiver that's coming back that we signed that had a couple of good games a couple years ago in Keith Ambles, number 17 wide receiver. Another player that's coming back that's been here for the last several seasons is Deshawn Amos, number 8 defensive back. And then now we have a couple more new players. We have Stephen Banks, number 95 offensive lineman, as well as offensive lineman Bryce Bell, number 66. It'll be interesting to see how Bo is going to work with an inexperienced offensive lineman, considering that he's not familiar with. And I also have to touch on some tidbits that I found basically following with Mark Steven on the Facebook page, because practices and that were all closed to the public. But getting back to the roster, well, it looks like going to be our starting running back is Kadeem Carey, number 35 running back. We're not too sure what to expect. I mean, it was definitely our weakness a couple years ago. Definitely killed us in the West semifinal. And then we have a long snapper, a new long snapper in Aaron Crawford, as Pierre Caron has retired. So it'll be interesting how he goes. And then we have another player that's returning in Vincent Desjardins, number 92 defensive lineman. And then we have Brendan Dozer. I know he's been a veteran the last couple of seasons in the CFL. Defensive back, number 3. And then we have another interesting name on the offensive line, and Jillian Good Jones. Let's hope he's a Good Jones. It's Good hyphen Jones, number 69. And then we have the punter that we drafted in the global draft, and Cody Grace, number 24. And then another few more players that are new to the team this year is we have Elliot Grayman, another running back, number 37. And then we have a linebacker in Curtis Gray, number 45. And then I'm going to say, because of the fact that last season didn't happen, and he was pondering about was he going to retire or come back, did he know wear and tear on the body, we have Corey Greenwood coming back, the middle linebacker, number 36. He definitely was one of the top tacklers a couple years ago, so nice to see Corey Greenwood come back. I think the fact that we didn't have a season last season, I think is the reason why he is playing this season. And then another receiver that I think is definitely going to be interesting to see how he takes the next step in Josh Huff, number 83 And then a couple more wide receivers. So Colton Hunchuk, a local that had a few, big highlights, number 89. And then Kamar Jordan, one of our top wide receivers, hopefully be totally healthy as he missed most of 2019. He was in for the West semifinal. So we'll see how well he does. Here's an interesting name that would sound like you would hear at a nightclub as defensive back, DJ Killings, number 25. That's his name, DJ Killings. Let's hear it for DJ Killings on defensive back. And then another returner is running back in William Longley, number 23. And then we got another offensive line that we recognize that's coming back in Justin Lawrence, number 68. And then one of our big free agent signings from 2020, but we'll finally get to make his Stampeder debut, is defensive back Richard Leonard, number 4. And I did hear with during Mark Stevens' insights on the Facebook page that apparently he had to battle some injuries and he spent some time in a boot cast. So not too sure if we're going to see him right away. And then one of our quarterbacks is Jake Meyer, number 12. So apparently we're out because I know Dakota Prukop, one of the quarterbacks to be signed in free agent friends, he got released and he actually did sign with the Elks up in Edmonton. So continue down the roster while we have wide receiver Hergy Mayala, player we drafted in 2019 in the college draft. We'll see what kind of step he does take. And then another one of our big signings from 2020 that will finally get to make his debut with the Calgary Stampeders is local and Sean McEwen, because he was released by the Toronto Argonauts early in 2020 before shit started to get real and canceling things. He's number 51. And then another offensive back that is coming back is Royce Metchie, number 16. And then another wide receiver, a depth wide receiver that might take more predominant role this season is Tyson Milnos, number 84. And then another running back, fullback that is still back is Ante Milonovich Leader, number 34, who we drafted a few years ago. And then, of course, Bo Levi Mitchell, number 19 for a quarterback. Here that, he did have some surgery to fix his shoulder last season, but I heard that during training camp, and it was all closed to public and there wasn't any preseason games, that he battled injury. So that's definitely going to be interesting to see how Bo is going to look when the season starts. But he is on the roster, thankfully. As long as we have Bo, I think we're still competitive, but we'll see how he feels when we actually start playing for real. Tuning down on the roster here, I got linebacker Charlie Moore, number 43. And then we got another returner and defensive back Jonathan Moxey, number 27. And then another one of our quarterbacks that we signed in free agent friends this past year, and Michael O'Connor, number 15. And then we have a defensive lineback in Chris Odom, number 98. And then another defensive lineback that's coming back that had to battle injury in 2019 is Florian Olamande. He is number 90. And then we have Darrell Owens, defensive line, number 99, and I guess the most elder Calgary Stampeder now, that this will be his 11th season, is kicker Rene Paredes, so he's still wearing number 30. And then the next kicker, which will be our punters, who we signed in free agent frenzy, and Ronnie Pfeiffer, number 11. And then we also have Charlie Power coming back, running back, fullback, number 46. And then we have another receiver in Sean Riley, number 14. And then we have a defensive line that's coming back this season in Mike Rose, number 41. Gotta wonder if he's related to Ben, but we have a Darnell Sankey. Remember Ben Sankey from 20 years ago when he was a quarterback for the Calgary Stampeders? Well, we have a Darnell Sankey, linebacker, number 53. And then another player that's coming back that we drafted back in 2018 in the Canadian College Draft is Ryan Chevier, who actually went to school here, number 58. And then another wide receiver that I'm interested to see if he could take the next step that played here with the Calgary Colts is Richard Sindani, number 87. And then another linebacker that's coming back is Fraser Sopek, number 47. And then Nick Stats, number 2, defensive back. And then we have Celia Stewart, linebacker, number 44. And then another player that's coming back, which is definitely a big addition, is Jameer Thurman, number 56, linebacker. And then, of course, you still got Jamar Wall, number 29, one of the long-time Calgary Stampeders. And then we have a defensive lineman in Derek Wigan, another player that's coming back. And then who's been the center the last couple of years is number 61 offensive lineman Mccarty Williams. And then we also have another Williams on the offensive line in Zach Williams, number 6'7", and the last two players that's on the active roster as of this recording head into the first week of the CFL season. And we got Raheem Wilson coming back, defensive back, number 21, and then we have Jonathan Zamora, offensive lineman, number 59. So that's the players that's on the active roster. And then we also have an extended practice roster too, and there's a couple veterans that actually we signed during training camp to fill some holes. The practice roster, going once again alphabetical order, last name is Marcellus Branch, defensive back. And then we have a kicker in Kieran Burnham, number 70. And then we got wide receiver in George Campbell, number 80. I heard he had a good camp, is in Arthur Hakanavru, number 81. And then we also have another receiver in Malik Henry, number 82. And then he's related to Nate Hawley, who won the Rookie of the Year back 2019. We have a receiver, Nick Hawley, number 33, wide receiver. He's on the practice roster. And then Leon Johnson, the offensive lineman, number 50. And then we actually brought back Sean Lemon, defensive line, who was on the 2014 team. He also did spend some time with Edmonton, Ottawa, and Toronto. So Sean Lemon's back, number 40. He's on the practice roster. We might see him play throughout the season. And then we got Morgan Johnson, or Jordan Morgan, as I meant to say, on the offensive line, number 64. And then defensive back, we got Ramon Richards, number 7. And then we got DeAndre Saldalgo, the player that we signed from Mexico a couple of years ago. Wide receiver, number 85. And then we have a defensive lineman in Andrew Sennett Spalding, number 96. And then we also have another running back on the practice roster named Rock Thomas, number 32. And then we have Jarrell White, I think he's been around, linebacker, number 6. And then we have another wide receiver, number 86, and Dan Williams III, number 86, wide receiver. And then the last player on the practice roster is Kobe Williams, number 0, defensive back. And then we got one player that is on the suspended list. It's another veteran that actually came out of retirement, because I heard that the fullback position definitely got an injury with Charlie Power. We actually signed Calvin Mccarty, the longtime Edmonton, well, Eskimo then, but now Edmonton Elk. But Calvin Mccarty spent his whole career up with the Edmonton Eskimos. I think he started playing in 2007, I believe, or actually I think maybe it was even a little earlier than that, 6 or 5, but he was on the 2015 team. I remember when the Eskimos won the Grey Cup in 2015 that they mentioned that Calvin McCarty, he waited a decade to get his Grey Cup ring, so we definitely got a long-time veteran, and he actually retired, I think he retired in 2019, didn't play in 2019, and then 2020 didn't happen, so be interested to see Calvin McCarty, if he actually gets to playing for the good guys now. Maybe he wants to know what it's like to win on Labor Day. I'll just got to throw that in there, but that's the roster for Calgary Stampeders content to start off. And then when you're looking at the schedule, which will be the first or the next episode in my Calgary Stampeders this month, that there's 4 games in August, and it's definitely home heavy, because the first game, week 1, the Calgary Stampeders will be hosting the Toronto Argonauts. This will be on Saturday, August 7th. That'll be a 5 p.m. kickoff. And then week 2, this will be on Thursday, August the 12th, as the Calgary Stampeders will be hosting the BC Lions. That'll be a 7:30 kickoff, which that's why I'd have to take Friday off from work for that week. And then week 3, the Calgary Stampeders have yet another home game. This time will be on Friday, August the 20th, as the Calgary Stampeders will be hosting the Montreal Alouettes. That'll be 7:30 kickoff. And then week 4, to wrap up August before Labor Day, the Calgary Stampeders will have their first road game, which will be on August 29th, as the Calgary Stampeders will be in Winnipeg, taking on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So that'll be a 5 p.m. kickoff. So after that game, that's when I'll come back with my Calgary Stampeders this month. But to take a look at the rest of the schedule, while we're at it, is week 5. This will be the Labor Day Classic on Monday, September 6th. As the Calgary Stampeders will be hosting the Edmonton Elks, that'll be the usual 2:30 kickoff. And then hopefully I'll get to go to this game for week 6. Still working on details and my plans for that, and it's not exactly as planned, but if I do go up to Edmonton, this will be on Saturday, September the 11th for week 6. As the Calgary Stampeders are playing in Edmonton as the Edmonton Elks. That'll be a 5 p.m. kickoff. And then This is where we'll have a road heavy schedule in September, as week 7. On Friday, September the 17th, the Calgary Stampeders will be in Hamilton. That'll be a 5 p.m. kickoff. And then they have a bye after that, because the next game that they get to play for their week 9, because week 8 they have a bye. So week 9, the Calgary Stampeders come back home. This will be on Saturday, October the 2nd, as the Calgary Stampeders will be hosting the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And then week 10, the Calgary Stampeders go to Saskatchewan. This will be on Saturday, October 9th, as Calgary will be in Saskatchewan, so that'll be a 5 p.m. kickoff as well. And then on week 11, the Calgary Stampeders are still on the road. On Saturday, October the 16th, the Calgary Stampeders will be in BC. That'll be a 5 p.m. kickoff. All times I've given, by the way, are Mountain Time, my time. And then week 12, the Calgary Stampeders will have another game against the Saskatchewan Roughriders back at home. This will be on Saturday, October 23rd. For some reason they give it a 7:45 kickoff, so it's not on the top or the bottom of the hour, it's on the left hand of the hour. And then week 13, the Calgary Stampeders go to Ottawa on Friday, October 29th, as they will be taking on the Ottawa Redblacks in Ottawa. That would be a 5 p.m. kickoff. And then week 14, they got a bye. So then week 15, the Calgary Stampeders will be in BC. This will be on Friday, November 12th. That'll be an 8:30 kickoff, so Calgary and BC. And then week 16, which will be the last week of the regular season. This will be the last game for the Calgary Stampeders in the regular season at home, as they will be hosting the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on Saturday, November 20th, and that would be a 5 p.m. kickoff. And keep in mind that this season is only a 14-game season. Each team gets 2 bye weeks. And the fact that we're starting later and we're going to get as much games as possible, the Grey Cup will be 3 weeks later, because Saturday, November 20th, originally that the next day would have been the original date for the Grey Cup, but the 108th Grey Cup will be in Hamilton this year, and it's always at the same time, 4 p.m. kickoff. Not too sure, it's still a Hail Mary if I'm going to be going to the Grey Cup this year, but, not going to rule out the possibility, but that will be on Sunday, December 12th, as the Grey Cup will be at Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton. And you could say, looking at the rosters right now, you would have to say the Hamilton Tiger Cats right now look to be the favorites to be not only in the game this year, but winning it at home this year. But which means that then Sunday, November 20, his original date was Sunday, November 21st. But no, it won't be until November 28th, which will be the semifinals, and then Sunday, December 5th will be the divisional finals, and then the Grey Cup. So they'll still have the same 6 teams in the playoffs, winners of each division, getting a bye to go in the final, and then you got the 2, 3, or a crossover if needed. But I'm thinking with the more heavy West schedule and a heavy East schedule for both sides, and the fact there's hard to predict, I think there won't be a crossover this year, to be honest with you. But you'll still never know. But week 1, in terms of the whole CFL, since before I close out this video, that Thursday, August the 5th, will be the first game of the 2021 regular season, as you'll have the Hamilton Tiger Cats in Winnipeg Blue Bombers at IG Field. That'll be a 6:30 kickoff, which is traditionally you always have the Grey Cup rematch to start off the season, and the home team being the champions. So we'll have the Grey Cup rematch to start off the season. And then for Friday Night Football on Friday, August the 6th, you have the BC Lions hosted in the Saskatchewan Roughriders. That'll be a 6:30 kickoff. And then Saturday, August 7th, you have the Toronto Argonauts in with the Calgary Stampeders. That'll be a 5 p.m. kickoff. And then the Ottawa Redblacks will be in Edmonton for an 8 p.m. kickoff for the late games. So the Montreal Alouettes have actually the first week bye, because the Montreal Alouettes, their first game won't be until Saturday, August the 14th, as they'll be on the road in Edmonton to take on the Edmonton Elks, and that'll be a 5 p.m. kickoff then. So that's to take a look at the CFL and the Calgary Stampeders roster and the schedule. So yes, the plan is that once the season gets going, there will be games to recap with my Calgary Stampeders this month, and if any other major news happens, I'll make a video on. So in addition to my Calgary Stampeders this month, what I plan to do this year is I'll do it. I did plan to do it last year, but obviously last season did not happen. That my plan is, let's say for example, on Saturday when it's game day, I'm going to plan to make a video talking about my feelings on game day instead of posting a long word post on my personal Facebook page. So I plan to do game day post video form for each game day, how I'm feeling about the team and the game on that day. So I plan to do that, and I'll post that on my main channel. And then when it comes to YouTube Shorts, after each game, I'll plan to do a video giving my quick recap on what was the score and just quick highlights in my YouTube Shorts. So that's what I plan to do during the season up until, obviously the playoffs. And then, of course, when it comes to the playoffs, I plan to do my On the Road to the Grey Cup, which I have done the last couple seasons, where what I do is I'll preview the games each week, each semi-final game, each final game, and the Grey Cup game, and then just break down the matchup and give my predictions on when that time comes. So On the Road to the Grey Cup I plan to do, but of course now it's going to be 3 weeks later, so we'll have to look forward to that till at least late November, early December, which I also personally use the Grey Cup to gauge when I start thinking or feeling at Christmas. Well, definitely it's going to be much later this year, because if the Grey Cup is not going to be till Sunday, December the 12th, that's when I won't start thinking or feeling at Christmas till then. So it's going to be a little later this year, but is what it is. So I say, what are you looking forward to for the CFL this season in 2021? Just glad that we are going to have some football this season, and the Calgary Stampeders, by the way, will finally actually get to celebrate their 75th anniversary season. A season later, which they already revealed their 75th anniversary jerseys, which those look great, that I think the Calgary Stampeders should consider wearing those permanently. And I'm not too sure if they have a road version of that. They didn't say anything about just the home games, but I think the Calgary Stampeders should consider making a road version of those and wear those permanently. I like to see the red and white back. Black was a nice thing that we brought in the 1990s, and yes, we should still keep those outlaw jerseys for Labor Day. And it sounds like they are still going to wear them on Labor Day, but those red and white jerseys look sweet. And I think the helmets that they came up with looks like the 1970s style. One side still is yours, the other side has that 75th anniversary logo. But I'm just going to say this season, I think it's definitely going to be very unpredictable, just because of roster turnover, a lot of players retiring, the fact we didn't have football last season, and I think you're probably going to see a lot more injuries, unfortunately, just because of the more compressed schedule and the fact that, there was no preseason, there was just training camp, and then let's just hope there won't be any outbreaks, as we're still worried about, the pandemic and that, but hopefully, everyone on the teams does everything as safe as possible and are at least vaccinated, which I'm sure they are, but I didn't hear anything too much about any major outbreaks in training camp throughout the season, but there has to be some contingency plans. But at least here in Alberta, we know that it's full stadiums, that there's no restrictions in terms of that. I mean, we did have a Calgary Stampede, but I think one of the reasons why we have a home-heavy schedule is because out in the eastern provinces, it's still a little more restrictive. I mean, heck, it's just this past Friday that finally they allowed the Toronto Blue Jays to actually play home in Toronto where they belong, but it is what it is. I just think for Calgary this year, I feel like that this is going to be the year that we will take a little bit of step back. I don't think we're going to be that dominant juggernaut in the West. I still expect this team to make the playoffs, and as long as we have Bo and he's healthy, we have a chance. But I think right now, I think Hamilton is the heavy favorite to win the Grey Cup. Looking out east, I think Hamilton is definitely the favorite. I probably could say Toronto would be the second place team, with a lot of former Stampeders, by the way, which will be an interesting to see kind of that reunion. And then it'd be Montreal and Ottawa battling out for third place, and then going out west. I would probably think you're going to get that battle opener. I think Calgary and Edmonton are going to be battling out for first and second, but then don't count out Saskatchewan or Winnipeg. And then I think BC is still the weakest team in the West, but it's a lot more difficult to really judge just because of a lot of player movement. In fact, we didn't have football last year, but still going to be an interesting season. I'm just glad that we have football again this season. So anyways, I'd like to say, if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey, home of the Flames, Hitman, Roughnecks, and Stampeders, I mostly do talk Calgary sports on my YouTube channel, like as recap games and stories, and just get ready for this season up ahead. But I also do a variety of non-sports content. We'll have time. I mean, I do have a list of personal blogs and attempt to comedy still planned. I just haven't had a chance to get to it. And then with this past long weekend, I decided to actually take it easy and been waiting for other stories to develop. Let's say with the Calgary Flames, let's say hopefully maybe get Jack Eichel. I can dream, but the rumors are still out there. But I also do share experience. I'm on the road. Rest for it, and I think now that we're going to go back to going to games again, there will probably be some videos from that as well. And then this Log In to Go, which I've taken a little break from that recently because I'm anticipating a lot more Flames and Stampeders content in the next couple months with the off season and now with football season beginning. So as I say, if that all sounds like it'd be interesting to watch, to follow along with this Calgary sports fans journey, you know, each do just make sure you hit like and subscribe. I also have my other social links down in the description below. And I do have my second channel called Brett Hornby Shorts, that's where I made that channel exclusively for me to put my shorts content on there. And I'm going to say during the Calgary Stampeders season, after each game, I plan to do a short talking about the score, who won, and what happened, and what stood out, or anything controversial that happened. So anyways, I want to say go Stamps go. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.